Okay, so let's unpack this. We're diving into a field where, well, preparation literally dictates survival, first responders.
Absolutely, a really critical area.
And we're looking at a major shift, really, in how law enforcement, fire, EMS personnel are trained, thanks to some pretty advanced technology.
That's right. The landscape they face is just getting more complex.
Yeah, the reality for these professionals, it's incredibly complex now. They're dealing with, everything from escalating mental health crises, volatile domestic situations.
And massive natural disasters, things we're seeing more of.
Exactly. And tragically, active threat incidents, too. The old way of doing things, live drills, those tabletop exercises, they have value, sure, but they're fundamentally constrained, aren't they?
Completely. Live simulations are incredibly costly.
And rare.
So rare.
Yeah.
Logistically, they're just nightmares to coordinate. And maybe the biggest thing, they severely limit the variety, the repetition you need for real mastery.
Yeah. That constraint is really the core issue the sources seem to hammer home. The traditional model operates on scarcity, right? You get maybe 1-2 shots a year at a big disaster drill.
If you're lucky. But real life isn't like that. It's unpredictable. You need a way to safely rehearse the truly complex stuff, the high-stakes scenarios. The source material calls it training the untrainable.
Training the untrainable. I like that.
And the solution being put forward is EON Reality's XR Library Premium. Now, this isn't just, sticking someone in a VR headset.
No.
No, it's more integrated. It uses artificial intelligence, AI, powering augmented and virtual reality, XR. And it's driven by something they call spatial AI.
Okay, wait. Let's quickly pin that down for everyone listening. We generally get VR as immersive, AR overlays things onto the real world. But what's spatial AI mean here? Why is that the crucial bit for a first responder?
Right. Good question. Spatial AI is really the key differentiator. It means the AI doesn't just run a program. It understands and interacts dynamically with the 3D virtual space and the trainee inside it. It's the engine, basically, that lets the virtual people, the avatars, react authentically to the learner's behavior, their tone of voice, even their body language.
So it goes from static simulation to something responsive.
Exactly. A truly responsive, high-fidelity world. The goal, at the end of the day, is building real competency, making responders mission-ready by drilling those decisions that genuinely save lives.
Got it. So we have a clear mission for this deep dive then. Walk through the 4 core pillars of this XR training library. See how it aims to transform readiness.
And we should start where all good response really begins.
Communication, absolutely. Yeah. This first big focus area is what they call the human element de-escalation and crisis intervention. I mean, public trust, officer safety, it all hinges on mastering communication before force even comes into play.
And what's fascinating here, I think, is how this tech lifts de-escalation training beyond, the usual mandatory PowerPoint lecture.
Right.
It becomes active, dynamic negotiation. The sources talk about deep branching scenarios. The avatars the responders talk to, they aren't just reciting lines.
Okay.
They actually adjust their agitation, their confusion, maybe withdrawal. It changes in real time. Based on the subtle cues, the verbal choices the learner makes, it forces you to train your tone, your body language, your pace.
That dynamic feedback. That feels like the revolutionary part. Because think about it, if you practice with human role players, they get tired, they have biases, their memory fades.
Exactly. An AI avatar, it can run that scenario 100 times, reacting perfectly, consistently to every little nuance you bring.
That makes sense.
And they highlight some really critical modules here. Verbal de-escalation for volatile encounters. It may be most urgent right now, crisis intervention for mental health incidents.
Yeah.
This forces responders to practice engaging people showing real signs of agitation or distress. Situations where, frankly, traditional police tactics might fail or even make things worse.
I have to push back just a little bit here, though. I mean, can practicing de-escalation in a sterile virtual environment really replicate the full-on fear, the smell, the physical tension of walking into a genuine high-stress domestic dispute?
That's a fair question, a necessary one. And look, the VR environment can't perfectly replicate every physical sensation, no. But the stress inoculation comes from the high cognitive load and the immediacy of consequence. If you mess up, if you fail to manage the situation verbally, those dynamic avatars escalate instantly. That increases the emotional stakes. It forces the trainee to recognize their mistake right away.
So the feedback loop is much tighter.
Much tighter. The specific example they cite is practicing multiple outcomes of a domestic dispute resolution. notoriously one of the riskiest calls. The focus is solely on verbal control, avoiding that drift towards force escalation that happens under stress. It's about building repeatable, calm decision-making pathways.
Under pressure.
Understood. Okay. So if communication is foundational, then coordination has to be the next step, right? Especially for bigger incidents.
Absolutely.
Which brings us to the command structure, multi-agency incident command.
Yes. Because when a major disaster hits wildfire, terror attack, huge flood, the response has to be seamless. Police, fire, EMS, maybe federal agencies. And historically, that coordination, that's often where things break down.
It's the classic challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Logistics. Getting dozens of commanders from different agencies, different uniforms, into the same room for a tabletop drill. It's a nightmare. Happens maybe annually if you're lucky.
Right.
XR basically vaporizes that difficulty. It provides a virtual incident command system, ICS environment.
Okay, let's simplify that for listeners. What is the ICS structure we're talking about briefly?
Sure. The incident command system is just the standardized chain of command used for big emergencies. It dictates who handles operations, logistics, planning, finance, the whole structure.
Okay.
Now move that to XR, and you create a virtual emergency operations center, or EOC. The EOC is normally that physical hub where commanders gather.
Got it.
In the XR platform, these different agency leaders, police captains, fire chiefs, EMS supervisors, can now train together, weekly, maybe even daily, in a shared virtual EOC.
That's the huge insight there, isn't it? Shifting joint agency training from this rare, expensive headache to something accessible, repeatable, a regular competency check.
Absolutely. The training modules they mention include things like unified command for mass casualty incidents, practicing coordinating complex triage, site security, supply logistics, all at once.
Complex stuff.
Very. They run disaster response, tabletop simulations, earthquakes, floods, training command staff decision-making when the information flow is deliberately chaotic, like it would be in reality.
Makes sense.
And crucially, communications protocols in multi-agency response, training the precise, disciplined language. The handoff procedures needed when police need to talk to fire, who need to talk to EMS, all under pressure.
And the sources give a fantastic example of this in action.
They do.
Fire, EMS, and police training together in XR. On a school active shooter scenario. They're rehearsing comms discipline, figuring out staging areas, setting up triage zones.
All within that single virtual environment. It forces them to operate as one unified team, not just three separate agencies working near each other.
Okay, so once that macro coordination piece is solid, we zoom back in, right? To the individual responder who might be operating alone in chaos. This moves us to the third priority area. High risk, rare skills. Those moments where unlimited practice is absolutely critical because failure is just catastrophic.
Yeah, these scenarios are really designed for deep stress inoculation. It's about training muscle memory, flawless judgment in situations that are ambiguous, life-threatening, and thankfully, rare.
Like what?
Well, for EMS, think about paramedic intubation in stressful environments. Practicing managing an airway when there's simulated chaos, like a virtual riot happening all around the EMT.
Oh, wow.
For law enforcement, they detail these rigorous SWAT shoot, don't shoot decision-making modules. This is where those AI-driven adaptive avatars are vital.
How so?
They present ethically complex, rapidly evolving threats, requires perfect split-second judgment. It builds proficiency way beyond just shooting at static targets on a range.
And for fire services, the ultimate high-risk moment must be the Mayday call.
The firefighter Mayday procedures, exactly. That's the protocol for when a firefighter gets trapped, disoriented, runs out of air. The worst-case scenario.
Things you can't practice often live.
Just too dangerous. The example given is really visceral. Firefighters rehearsing Mayday in XR, practicing air management, hitting their distress signal, finding their way out. Under simulated blackout visibility, extreme noise.
Intense.
And they can run that exact sequence again and again, safely, until the procedure is just instinct, even under extreme stress.
Okay, that covers the individual tactical skills. Finally, we get to the people managing all this, the command chain itself. Supervisory and leadership development.
Right, because an effective response isn't just about the first person on scene being brilliant. It's amplified or hindered by the leaders guiding them.
So XR is used here too.
Yeah, it provides immersive command challenges, replicating supervisory stress, difficult administrative decisions, things leaders face.
This feels like it's about amplifying effectiveness from the top down, but also maybe addressing internal organizational health.
It is. The modules cover critical internal leadership stuff. Yeah. Like sergeant-level leadership.
Yeah.
How to conduct structured briefings and debriefings. Ensuring accountability. Making sure information flows correctly after an incident.
And leadership isn't just tactical, like you said. It's often internal. Structural fairness comes into play.
Definitely. So you see modules on internal affairs and investigative interviewing, training supervisors how to handle sensitive internal inquiries professionally, fairly.
And then there's the outward-facing part, dealing with the public during a crisis.
Hugely important. Crisis communication with the public and media is essential. Training supervisors on managing press briefings, handling social media meltdowns during a disaster.
Which is a minefield.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They even include modules on wellness and stress management for supervisors. Addressing that command post fatigue, the mental toll on leadership itself.
The power of simulation seems really clear in the example here. A lieutenant practicing a press conference after a mass incident, trying to balance public transparency, empathy, with the legal need to protect an ongoing investigation. That's a real high-wire act. Needs practice.
It really connects everything we've discussed, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The individual response, the coordination, the public messaging, it all comes back to that leader's responsibility.
So let's step back then. Big picture. What does the transformation look like? Contrast the before versus the after of putting something like this XR library premium in place.
Okay. Before, de-escalation was taught maybe with a lecture, some simple role play.
Right.
Now, it's dynamic XR avatars,
Yeah.
forcing adaptation based on how the learner actually behaves.
Okay, what about command?
Incident command. Before, it was drilled maybe annually. Huge logistical cost.
Yeah.
Now, a weekly joint agency practice is possible in virtual EOCs, available 24/7.
Huge difference. And those high-risk, low-frequency skills.
Before, they relied on expensive, sometimes dangerous, and definitely rare live burns or shoot houses. Now, unlimited, repeatable XR scenarios, under controlled, customizable stress levels.
And leadership.
And leadership skills. Maybe the biggest philosophical shift. They went from being learned mostly on the job, which often means learning through failure, to structured, immersive supervisory modules.
So what enables this? What are EON's specific differentiators, according to the sources? What makes this platform capable of driving this kind of change?
Well, first, it's the adaptability we talked about, those AI-driven avatars reacting to human cues.
Got it.
Second, interoperability, the ability for fire, police, EMS to share the same simulated environment simultaneously. That's key for ICOC training.
Right.
Third, they focus on verifiable results. Competency tracking with digital records, so agencies can prove mastery, not just attendance.
Accountability.
Exactly. And finally, accessibility, the whole any device deployment thing.
Yeah.
High-end VR, simple AR on a tablet, even a standard laptop.
Meaning the training can happen anywhere?
Pretty much. Police academy classroom, ship briefing room at a remote firehouse, wherever makes sense. That versatility really underscores the core value proposition. It's summarized perfectly by EON's chairman, actually. Public safety depends on split-second judgment. XR gives first responders the chance to rehearse every critical decision safely, repeatedly, before they face it for real.
That shift from training scarcity to training abundance, that feels like the heart of the transformation.
It is.
So what we've really seen today is this massive philosophical shift, using technology to leap over those old logistical hurdles to ensure every responder is trained not just for the everyday calls, but for those one-in-a-million moments too.
Which really raises an important question, I think, for you, the listener, something to mull over.
Okay.
If technology can now simulate the untrainable, if it allows for repeatable, measurable, high-stress practice in these rare life-saving procedures, everything from a Mayday egress to nuanced de-escalation in a domestic dispute, what standard of readiness should we now expect? What should we demand from our public safety professionals in the future?
That's a powerful question. Answering that really will dictate the future of community safety and preparedness. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into AI-driven adaptive training.